Guys, how are you doing? I'm back again. I hope for those who watched me and Keith Jowers earlier today, you really enjoyed it. Hi, kids. We're ready for story time now, and this is our story, Mr. Biff the Boxer. So I hope you got something great to drink and you're feeling good and you're ready to sit and listen to a story with maybe mommy or daddy or your brother or your sister, whoever's with you. So we're going to get started reading. And as you're hopping on, if you would, please say hello. Let me know that you're here. And hold on. Let me adjust so I can see some. Whoa, 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 whoa. We don't want the noise. Hi, Galia. Hi, Sarah. Okay. Sorry for that feedback. And let's get started reading. If you are watching with your kids, parents, can you put in their names so I can also give them a shout out and say hello? All right. Mr. Biff the Boxer is by Allan Ahlberg, illustrated by Janet Ahlberg. Do you think maybe they're like related? Maybe they're husband and wife. I do not know. All right. Let's get started with Mr. Biff the Boxer. Mr. Bop was a boxer. He was fit as a fiddle. He was the toughest man in the town. He was the champion. There was another boxer in town. His name was Mr. Biff. Mr. Biff was not as fit as a fiddle. He ate too many little cakes. He drank too many bottles of soda. Mr. Biff was not tough. He liked to sit in an easy chair by a cozy fire. He liked to put his slippers on and read the paper. One day, posters appeared in the town. They said, "Big charity fight, Mr. Biff against Mr. Bop." Look at Mr. Biff in his easy chair. Mr. Biff told his wife about the fight. "It's for charity," he said. Do you know what charity is? Charity is when you help donate to someone who needs something. They're needy. They may need clothes. They may need food. They may need money. And that's charity, is when you give to those that don't have as much as you have. Mr. Biff told his wife about the fight. "It's for charity," he said. "Me against Mr. Bop." "Oh dear," said Mrs. Biff. "They say he is the toughest man in the town. They say his wife is the toughest woman, too," said Mr. Biff. Mrs. Biff told the children about the fight. "It's for charity," she said. "Your dad against Mr. Bop?" "Our dad'll win," said Billy Biff. "He will biff him," Betty Biff said. "But your dad is not fit," said Mrs. Biff, "and he is not tough." "We will be his trainers then," said Billy Biff, "and toughen him up," Betty Biff said. See, it says here, our dad will win. You wait and see. Hi, Swift Warrior. Thanks for joining. The next day, Mr. Biff began training. His family helped. Billy Biff took him running. Betty Biff took him rope jumping. Mrs. Biff hid his paper and his slippers. Bonzo Biff, the dog, kept him out of his easy chair. Here they are. They're riding bikes. They're jumping rope. And there is the doggy keeping him out of his easy chair. The children also helped to toughen him up. Mrs. Biff helped to toughen them up too. Oh my gosh, look at that. Mr. Biff's a seesaw. They put Mr. Biff on a diet. "I'd like 3 little cakes and a bottle of soda," he said. "You can have 3 carrots and a glass of water," said Mrs. Biff. Each day the children asked, "How do you feel, Dad?" Each day Mr. Biff said, "I feel terrible." But one day the children asked, "How do you feel, Dad?" And Mr. Biff said, "I feel as fit as a fiddle." Look how good he's getting. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? If Thomas is watching, hi, Thomas. At last, the day of the fight came. A big tent was put up in the town. Crowds gathered. Everyone was excited. The referee stepped into the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, on my right, Mr. Bop, and everyone cheered. That's my husband, said Mrs. Bop. On my left, Mr. Biff. Everybody cheered again. That's my dad, Billy Biff said. The timekeeper rang the bell. Ding, ding! The fight began. Mr. Biff stepped forward. Mr. Bop stepped forward. Mr. Bop moved to the right. Mr. Biff's moved to the left. They're dancing around. Suddenly, Mr. Bop bopped Mr. Biff at the same time. Mr. Biff biffed Mr. Bop. They biffed and bopped each other out. It's a tie, the referee said. The timekeeper rang his bell. Ding, ding. The fight was over. 9, 10. It's a tie. Look, they knocked each other out. In the dressing room, Mr. Biff said, how do you feel? I feel terrible, said Mr. Bop. I think bopping people is silly. Biffing people is silly too, said Mr. Biff. Then Mr. Bop said, I feel hungry, and I have been on a diet. Me too, said Mr. Biff. I could eat a whole cake right now. And a jam tart, said Mr. Bop. And a cheeseburger, said Mr. Biff. And roast chicken, and potatoes, and peas, and bread, and butter, and a bottle of soda, Mr. Bop said. Here they are. Not feeling so good. Look, they have boo-boos on their noses. So that evening, the two families went out for a big dinner. Mrs. Biff made friends with Mrs. Bop. The Biff children made friends with the Bop children. That's a nice hat, Mrs. Bop. Say when. Cheers. Bonzo Biff even shared a bone with the Bop dog, and a good time was had by all. The end. So I guess they decided that biffing and bopping was not so much fun, and being friends and good buddies is what's much more fun. So I hope you love this story, Mr. Biff the Boxer. I kind of like it because it shows that sometimes it's more fun to be friends and have a great time with your friends than biff them or bop them, right? Okay, guys. So let's take a minute to calm down and let's breathe together. Can you put up a finger with me, please? Let's smell the flower and blow out the candles. Smell and blow out the candles. Smell the flower. Blow out the candles. Let's do it one more time together. Smell the flower. Blow out the candle. Well, I hope you feel really good and relaxed right now. I know I do. I love to just breathe and relax and read stories. To me, it's just so much fun. And I hope you're having fun listening to our stories too. Okay, guys, so we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for more story time. And if you're not on Facebook on our Pumped Up Parenting group, join our Pumped Up Parenting group. I would love to have you on there. You're welcome, Nick. You're welcome. Bronson, I don't know who's on with you. And I don't know if Brain Cheyenne's on. Sorry, Cheyenne. I'm like not thinking. I was on my ending mode. But anyway, glad you guys were on with me. Okay, guys, I wish you days filled with peace, love, and tons of laughter. And as I was saying, if you're not in Pumped Up Parenting on Facebook, join it. And if you want to work with me, you have some things you want to talk about, go on over to pumpedupparenting.com or go to talkwithcelia.com and let's talk about it. Okay? You guys have a great night. And I will see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock and around the web. Bye-bye, everybody.